What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. We are talking NFL draft today, counting down our top 10 prospects for the Washington Huskies as we get ready for the college football playoff on Monday. Joining me, as always, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Ready for the semifinals to start in a few days. Can't wait. But we're going to be talking about some Huskies today.
Absolutely. And they are top heavy. They are loaded from top to bottom. I know Texas is currently favored to win on Monday. I beg to differ, and I'm going to tell you why today. So let's jump right into this thing. Leading off, number one, best prospect on the Washington Huskies. No surprise here. It is Rome Odunze, who is arguably the best player in all four teams in this college football playoff, still standing in terms of NFL draft prospect. Rome Odunze, man, what else can you say? I mean, I've been doing college football winners every single week this college football season. He's been on that list so many different times. When Washington has needed a big play in a big moment with 2 minutes left on offense, it's not Michael Penix. It's not, the plethora of other playmakers. It's Rome Odunze. They throw it to Odunze, and he always delivers. They're undefeated. He's got a really good frame, second level speed, an underrated wingspan, one of the best catch radiuses in the wide receiver class. But man, his elite route running skills is the first thing that pops up when you watch tape. He's a true technician of the route tree. Great body control, especially near the boundary. He can catch in tight windows near the sideline. He can also be a threat in jump ball situations. In 2022, when targeted, he had an elite quarterback rating of 124.9 when targeted. In 2023, 118.3. This dude is a quarterback's best friend, and he always delivers. So he just normally makes quarterback play look elite. He's a game changer. He's a difference maker. This guy is going to be within my top 10 overall big board. When all is said and done, I think he's that good. What are your thoughts on Rome Odunze?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely nailed it. This guy is electric. He just, I mean, it's hard not to watch him on the field, even when he's like not even involved in the play. Like, he's just that guy. And you're absolutely right. He is by far, for me, outside of Harrison, this is my favorite. This is my favorite wide receiver prospect. I mean, he just looks the part. He plays the part. It feels like he just catches everything that Penix Jr. throws up to him. And he just has this clutch gene in him that, again, he just absolutely comes through every time you need him. So, Rome Odunze is by far, like I said, one of my favorite prospects overall, much less in the wide receiver group. So, it's so fun to watch. So fun to watch.
Yeah, man, he really is. He's definitely a big one to watch out for. Let's roll on to number two, Braylon Trice, an edge rusher for the Huskies. He's an excellent pass rusher. He's consistently able to win at the point of attack. He has a really good bull rush, although that's kind of his most effective move. That's going to have to get better at the next level. He's going to have to kind of expand that limited pass rush move set moving forward, but he's got an elite level motor. This is one of the best run defenders in the draft at his position, I think. He's able to consistently shed and disengage when he needs to, be a havoc in that backfield. Weaknesses wise, I don't think he has great bend, and I don't think he has an elite first step off the line. His production doesn't match 2022. Versatility wise, I think Trice is athletic enough to be in a 3-4, yet I also think he's big enough to be in a 4-3. I think probably putting him in a 3-4 as a stand-up edge might make him a little more effective, whereas in a 4-3, I think he would be more effective in the run. But overall, I think this is a low floor, high ceiling prospect. I think he goes somewhere back end of round 1, top of round 2. He's probably going to be an early down pass rush specialist from the jump. What are your vibes on Braylon Trice?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely said it. He's got a super high motor. He is absolutely excellent at setting the edge against the run. I mean, this guy is just has such good lateral movement. He's great at pursuit. And yeah, I think you nailed it as far as end of round 1, probably might slip to beginning of round 2, but yeah, no, I like Trice, just for his kind of skill set. And I feel like this is one of those things where, man, if he kind of hones in on some of these skills that he has, he absolutely can be a difference maker in the NFL. And yeah, you're right off the as far as doesn't have the greatest bend, doesn't have the initial burst. A knock on him is he's sometimes can be a little late off the snap. Um, but yeah, he seems to be pretty effective as a pass rusher and against the run. So certainly bodes well for his NFL prospects. So yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's going to definitely make some team um, pretty happy at the end of round 1, most likely.
Yeah, yeah, a difficult time getting home this season. But you look at the last 2 years, 140 pressures total. He had one game this year, Ryan, of 16 pressures against Stanford. Like,
Jesus,
he's a good player, man. Let's
that's
roll on
crazy.
to Troy Fountaneau, an offensive lineman prospect coming in number 3 in our rankings. Likely a top 50 prospect in this year's draft. One of the top interior O linemen, period. I could see him, like Braylon Trice, commanding potential late round billing. If he lasts to day 2, oh my gosh, what a great value pick. This guy is he's got one of the more unique physical builds in this draft. He may measure in a notch under 6'4" when the draft process starts, but he moves really well for his size. He's got really good mass, really good length, really good short area agility, good lateral mover. He will be likely moving from left tackle to guard at the professional level. This is just overall one of the best pass protectors in the class. Doesn't really have a lot of flaws, and he doesn't have a lot of non-elite traits. He's really good all over the place. So for me, like, the only negative I can find on this dude is he's kind of an older prospect. He's going to be 24 come October. And I think this is one of those dudes that has an incredibly high floor. But you look at the athleticism, you look at the size, you look at his improving technique every single year. He's a cornerstone guy, and with Pro Bowl caliber upside, there's a lot to like about Troy Fountaneau. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He played, a large majority of his snaps at left tackle, but he did kick inside and played some left guard throughout his collegiate career briefly. So he certainly has that ability, and like you said, I think most likely will get kicked inside. Yeah, he does a really good job of getting to that second level and hitting those second blocks. He's a physical guy. He's usually able to just kind of out grapple his opponent. He's pretty agile. Honestly, I really, really think this is a major part and a very underrated part of Washington's game is their run game, and it's because of Fontenot. Him in the run game, he absolutely just explodes off that line of scrimmage and
Yeah.
constantly is setting up humongous holes for Washington and their run game. But as you said, yeah, he's a little bit of an older prospect. Probably needs to especially if he's going to be kicked inside. Probably is going to need to add a little bit more strength. Not that he's weak by any means. He's just kind of, I think, for the NFL, I think he's probably going to need to add that. And he could definitely use a little bit, some coaching on better balance. Seems to kind of, often lose his balance, when engaged, and kind of gets ahead of his feet. So, but yeah, other than that, I think he's definitely somebody that's probably going to be, probably the first guard selected in this draft, most likely. And yeah, I could see him going late round one, early round two.
Yeah, I have good news, Ryan. We did what did we do? Our top 10. What was the last one we just did? Defensive tackles.
Yeah.
D tackles yesterday. And so far, the voting says our next top 10 positional ranking will be interior offensive lineman. So I feel like we're going to be talking about Troy Fountainu.
There you go.
Very soon. But he's going to be right up there with, the Jackson Powers Johnsons, the Graham Barton, who I think will be shifting on the interior a little bit, and then Cedric Van Pran. So he's definitely a top dude to know. Let's roll on to number 4, and that is Michael Penix Jr. Love this guy so much, man. He's such a fun player to watch. He's a pocket passer with a live arm. He's kind of known for pushing the ball down the football field. Everything about this guy's game starts and ends with that arm strength. The ball explodes out of his hands. He can bomb it 60 yards downfield at the flick of a wrist. And I think that's when he's at his most accurate down the field as well. So he's always hunting for shots. This is the area I'm most excited to watch from Michael Penix Jr. on Monday against Texas is how he handles that Texas D-line. Texas D-line has really solid players, and Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat, really good linebackers like Jalen Ford that are, I mean, that front seven is significantly better than what we saw against Oregon, where Washington really owned them from the jump in that game, in that Pac-12 championship. And we've seen Michael Penix Jr. struggle with pressure, especially with his accuracy in the past. So negative-wise, he's not a nimble mover in the pocket. He's not that impressive creator outside the pocket like a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels. I had Penix as my QB3 for most of the season, man. I've been on the Washington train all year long, but I cannot deny Jaden Daniels' just incredible 2023 campaign, which for me, I think has vaulted him into that QB3 spot. But I still think Penix has a real chance to be a first-round selection in this year's draft. What are your thoughts on Penix?
Yeah, I definitely feel like somebody's going to take a chance on him in the first round. And there's so many teams that absolutely need quarterbacks, and man, they're going to get themselves just an absolute. I feel like he just controls the field at like such an elite level, and just dissects defenses in such a way, and even just his intelligence pre-snap, you can see that he is very aware of the defense, and is good at reading those defenses. But yeah, he's a guy that is pretty decent in his progression. Even though if I was him, I'd just be throwing it up to Roma Dunze the whole time. But but yeah, he is definitely a leader out there on the field, and that's that goes a long way in my eyes. And yeah, I think I had him pretty much as my number 3 as well for most of the season. And yeah, I just think the rise of Jaden Daniels was hard to kind of keep him in that spot. But that's no knock on Penix. I mean, he seems to have short memory. He may have have a bad throw, and then he's ripping it in the next series. So exactly what you want in a leader out there on the field. And yeah, I think he definitely could hone some of up some of his skills, refine them a little bit as far as maybe his consistency, his accuracy, precision in the pocket. Um, but yeah, I absolutely like him, and honestly, I still thought, to be honest, I still thought he was going to be the Heisman, um,
Yeah.
this upcoming year. But man, he was a finalist and runner up for so many awards this year. Heisman, the Walter Camp, Maxwell. I mean, you name it, he was pretty much right there. So,
Yep.
um, love Michael Penix Jr.
Me too, man. He's such a fun guy to root for. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's always crying on the
Yeah,
sideline.
yeah,
He's yeah. You want him to succeed, of course, but Jaden Daniels has been so electric um, all season long. Um, let's roll on to another guy that I think is criminally underrated, and that's Jalen Polk, a wide receiver here for Washington. First up, he's got special teams experience, kick return, punt coverage. That's going to get him on the field from the jump in the NFL. But this is a guy that's got experience playing out wide in the slot, great arm length, has that ideal mix of height and weight you're looking for, good speed to threaten corners. He has really good feel for pockets in zone. He can make defenders miss in open space. He can rip off a 60-yard bomb with great body control down the sideline, like anybody's business. Plus catch radius with natural hands. High points the ball extremely well. There's a lot to like about Jalen Polk. He's just been in Rome Odunze's shadow for a very long time. He's a day two prospect in my mind, and yeah, he's been kind of the team's third option at wide receiver. But this guy's a solid NFL prospect with plus ball skills, physical tools. I see him as a slot Z receiver at the next level. It's time to stop sleeping on Jalen Polk because he's good in his own right.
yeah. No, absolutely. He is an absolute force when it comes to catch and run situations. He I keep it's funny. It's you when you read up on certain prospects, certain aspects and certain adjectives that people like to use. Uh, they often call him a violent runner when he has the ball in his hands, and that's really accurate. It's like when he catches something short, and he is a threat
Mm-hmm.
to take it home the every time. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty scary. He's great at those situations. He's great at the deep balls. He's great at tracking. And he honestly, I feel like he's kind of a student of the game. He does a lot of the little things, really well. And you're right. He's been in Rome Odunze's shadow for the longest time. And yeah, I think had he been on any other team, we'd be talking about him easily, as with some of these top guys here. But he has a good combination of speed, size, acceleration, high pointing the ball. And yeah, he honestly, he's a absolute threat. And you're right. I think him being in the slot in the next level is certainly um, his future. But yeah, I think he probably needs to uh, could probably do a little better as far as reading zone coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he doesn't always get the best separation, despite his speed and his size. Um, I feel like he could also get better on some of those contested catches as well. But yeah, and obviously I think he also needs to improve as a run blocker in the next level. But yeah, no, I think Polk has a real shot here to kind of be that guy who kind of it's Ramadunze, and here
Mm-hmm.
comes Polk.
Yep, absolutely. Let's roll into another one. And I also think he's another day two guy, and that is Jalen McMillan. This is kind of Michael Penix's safety valve, a great route runner, a guy that really thrives in that short intermediate range, dynamic wide receiver, with great hands, his ability to consistently create separation, make challenging catches, and utilize his speed is, something that pops off tape. Um, I think again, his hands are one of his best assets. He's very good at catching the ball in traffic and adjusting to off-target throws. Um, he's a guy that can also stretch the field vertically if you need him to. But I do think McMillan is best suited as a slot specialist at the next level. I'd like to see him kind of continue to build up his frame and add weight with NFL coaching. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he damn sure is shifty.
Yeah.
And I think for a slot receiver, I think that's usually typically the more valuable asset to have anyway. But overall, what he lacks in that physical upside, he's only 21 and he's got advanced refinement for what you're looking for in a slot guy. Any thoughts on Jalen McMillan?
Yeah, listen, I mean, McMillan here is the the second or the third option for Penix Jr., but that in no way diminishes his skill set. I mean, he is a precise route runner. He is absolutely just great at creating separation. As you said, that twitch and has that kind of almost like he just kind of thoroughly enjoys kind of fooling the defensive backs to try and create that separation.
Mm.
He definitely has a good catch and run threat ability. As you said, he's not necessarily the fastest, but he's one of those hard workers. Versatile, can be a return specialist, and really, as far as the wide receiver, really does a great job of locating and tracking those deep passes, and does have the skill set to be a pretty decent vertical threat. So, and has the willingness to be so. Decent hands, certainly able to kind of make those catches in traffic. So, yeah, I think you probably is going to need to add a lot more weight to be a little bit more consistent in the NFL. And it's certainly going to be asked to try and go through some bigger defensive backs in the NFL. So that'll certainly help him well. But yeah, I like McMillan. I think he certainly is a guy that will probably be a slot guy as well. But yeah, yeah, McMillan, another threat for Penix Jr. for sure.
Loaded, man. They are so loaded. I don't know if people realize how loaded this
Wow.
Washington Huskies team is. Let's roll on to number 7 here. I'm going to butcher this. Zion Tupuola Fetui, an edge rusher here for the Huskies. He was one of my breakout stars of 2023 during my offseason videos. Didn't really take off this season with many of his surface stats and pressures taking a dip compared to his 2022 campaign. He's an edge rusher that kind of fits best as an outside rush linebacker at the next level. Has good height, good weight for the position. Shed blocks well, attacks upfield, really good quickness and speed. Has a good ability to diagnose and attack ball carriers in the backfield. Good handwork, good strength to power. However, I just think he doesn't have a lot of bend. I don't think he has a lot of lean to win off the edge on a consistent basis at the next level. I think this guy is probably a day 3 guy with some intriguing tools. That's about it. I don't really have much to add beyond that. Any thoughts on Zion Tupuola Fetui?
Yeah, listen, you said it, perfectly that he's not the most athletic guy, and his ceiling isn't certainly as high as some of the edge rushers we've talked about previously in some of our other shows. But what he kind of maybe lacks in that, he really just has kind of an intelligence and a feel, working on the opposite, of Trice here. But yeah, he has really violent hands, really able to disengage from blocks, and really is able to kind of counter the blocking schemes to kind of get into the backfield. Great motor. Certainly, you can tell that he always seems to be in on the play, doesn't seem to ever get tired. So his stamina is certainly something to be noted. Um, and yeah, he's pretty explosive off the line of scrimmage in the pass rush. So I
Yeah.
feel like while isn't the most athletic freak out there, and maybe doesn't have the highest of ceilings, still think he can be a pretty functional edge rusher in the next level. Um, he just needs to kind of hone in on some of the skill set that he already has to kind of maybe make him a little bit more intriguing to some NFL teams.
Absolutely. All right. Rolling to number 8. This is where it gets kind of difficult. We are talking about Roger Rosengarten. He's a right tackle for the Huskies, 6'6", 300-pound junior. As a sophomore in 2022, he played 12 games, 872 snaps. He conceded a disappointing 15 quarterback hurries, 2 QB hits, and no sacks while playing right tackle. This season, he played 13 games, gave up just 8 quarterback hurries. So he split that in half. Same amount of quarterback hits with 2, but also gave up 0 sacks yet again while playing right tackle. Clearly, really good blend of size, athleticism, and frame. This guy's a pass protector. He's a guy that could also be potentially looking to return to Washington in 2024. We don't really know yet. We haven't had a decision made in that regard. He could be possibly replacing Troy Faltonu at left tackle in 2024. But yeah, my gut says he probably remains in Washington.
Yeah.
But if he enters, I mean, he's got some nice production. He's got some nice size. Probably day 3 guy that might be a sleeper. Any thoughts on Roger?
Yeah, no, I would expect him to return to Washington, but certainly if he doesn't, yeah, I think that's kind of right where he is, day 3 guy. He's got a great motor. He's a competitor, and everything that the brief bit that I have read up on him is everyone talks about his leadership. So he's certainly a guy that is probably going to be a great locker room guy, a guy that people can lean on. But yeah, he certainly is somebody that needs to hone up his skills. I mean, his point of attack is probably going to need some refinement in the next level. I mean, I could totally see defensive linemen kind of having a field day, but like I said, he doesn't quit. He has such a great motor, and he does do a really good job getting into that second level. So,
Yeah.
and he has really good hands. So these are all things that a good offensive line coach can really work with. He just kind of I feel like has a lot of rawness to him, and just kind of needs to hone in on utilizing the skills that he does have to kind of make himself into a more refined offensive line. That's why I think returning to Washington is probably the play.
Yeah.
Kind of get another year, especially if they win the national title. I mean, come back, switch over, to the left side, and yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. But yeah, we'll see.
I think Will Rogers is heading to Washington this offseason. He's a very good quarterback, so he could be potentially protecting the blind side of Will Rogers in 2024. Will Rogers was a big transfer for Washington. So rolling on to number 8. No, 9. Number 9. We are talking about Dominique Hampton. This dude is a defensive back, long frame, slender athletic build, has really good length. You look at that 6'3" frame. You got to like that. He's a coverage defensive back. Definitely a guy that looks most comfortable in press man. He's got good punch off the line, fluid hips when transitioning out of his back pedal. He knows how to use his length really well. He's not an elite athlete by any means, and he gives up a lot of gives up way too much separation at the top of his route. He can be caught flat-footed against skilled route runners, so keep an eye on that one, especially with the immense amount of talent that the Texas Longhorns have at the wide receiver position. I think this guy projects best as a strong safety at the next level, given his physicality and willingness to play in the box. So, yeah, projected strong safety, great physical measurements. I think he's an undrafted to day 3 guy. Maybe day 3, maybe a team falls in love with that well-rounded skill set, but his ball production and ball skills need a lot of work. Hasn't really given you a lot of like wow moments. Any thoughts on Dominique Hampton?
Yeah, no, I mean, you pretty much said all there is to say on this guy. He's an older guy. He doesn't really jump off the page. Doesn't really stand out, unfortunately, and it likely will be an undrafted guy. But I could easily see him kind of latching on and kind of practice squad working his way up. Most likely, like you said, a safety in the next level does have the little versatility playing kind of both safety spots and some corners. So yeah, like I said, not a lot more to say than what you already did. So yeah, he's somebody that is going to need to kind of impress. In the limited amount of ability that he'll have this offseason to try and get himself drafted.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're at the bottom of the barrel here. Number 10, it is tight end Devin Culp, 6'4", 362 pounds. He could be a potential sleeper tight end prospect. I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed on that Washington offense. Didn't really give you a lot of production statistically. He's a big-time senior. He's a guy that gave you, 200 so receiving yards per year over the last 3 seasons, 4 touchdowns overall. So he hasn't been a heavy component of that Washington offense. He's projected to run in the 4.6 range at the combine. Good speed, body control, and hands. Needs to present well through the draft process in order to be a day 3 selection. So he screams like to his credit, the tight end class is kind of weak this year. So maybe he squeaks in, but we'll see. Any thoughts on Devin Culp?
Yeah, listen, you said it. As far as the tight ends go, it's kind of top heavy with a couple of guys here, and then it just kind of falls apart. To be perfectly honest, yeah, I mean, hasn't really done much, and it's kind of hard too because considering the options that Penix Jr. has on this offense, not really. It doesn't really use the tight end terribly too much. So this is a guy that again, it's kind of like the last prospect we just talked about. Is going to need to some help here to get noticed and to get himself drafted. He obviously has a potential 2 games here in the national spotlight to kind of increase his draft stock. But yeah, listen, he's he's got decent speed. He's kind of a bigger tight end for sure. Probably going to need to lean up. In the next level, if he's going to want to stick around. But yeah, I think, he's got decent hands enough that, I think if he kind of leans up for the NFL, he could find himself a place on a squad. But, like I said, he's going to need some help if he's going to, get drafted, or at least late in the draft process.
All right. Those are our top 10 Washington Huskies prospects. Guys, if you need to know anything more about the college football playoff, don't look any further. We're literally giving you all the best of the best. We've given you Michigan. We've given you Alabama, and now Washington. We will be doing Texas on Monday. You're going to know everything about the best of the best when it comes to the college football semifinals. Ryan, final thoughts on the Huskies and plugs.
Yeah, I listen. I fully believe that the Huskies have an ability to win the national championship. I just absolutely have loved their season this year, and I think honestly, I think this game against Texas is going to be an absolute slugfest.
It is.
They definitely have a good top heavy type of team, as we obviously just talked about. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of am predicting an Alabama and Washington championship final, and I honestly I think they win it. But
Mhm.
we shall see starting on Monday. But yeah, listen, guys, if you are anything like Dibes and me, and you absolutely love the NFL, you love the draft process, you love the combine, the whole whatever, the whole 9 yards. Please do yourself a favor. Make sure you put on notifications and you follow Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. Please make sure that you follow us on X, um, both me and Dives, but lots of draft information coming out. And yeah, just do yourself a favor, dive in, have fun with it, and yeah, let's get ready for April.
All righty. Guys, again, if you're looking for our Michigan, uh, Alabama breakdowns, they are in that description down below. They're right there, our top 10 prospects for each team. So you know more than everybody else during your college football playoff semifinal party. He is Ryan Reese, who is currently frozen on my
Yes,
end.
I figured as much.
Give him a follow on X at Philly Sports PSA. I am Dives, Mr. Crapa. We'll be back on Monday with a Texas breakdown. And guys, have a great weekend, a safe weekend. Lots going on here at Edge of Philly Sports. Of course, Sixers post game going down tonight, Sixers versus Bulls. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, as we get ready for Eagles versus Cardinals tomorrow for pregame, halftime, postgame, you name it. For Ryan, for myself, stay awesome, guys. We'll see you on the next one.